So hello everyone, good evening and welcome to this webinar. So this particular webinar, we are doing it in three sessions. This is specifically for the L&D site teams. So what we have is recently a lot of improvements over our cloud solutions, specifically on the BIM 360 platform. And in this platform, we have improved drastically not just the architectural and services part of it, but also the infrastructure part as well. So the first session that today we are doing is specifically mostly on the rail and infrastructure, like how the files are handled and how we can benefit the generic BIM 360 features of viewing a file using a common data platform around different areas, different geos, including sites, and how we can communicate this across the teams more effectively using a cloud platform like BIM 360. So this webinar would include all the new additions that we had on BIM 360 specific onto the infrastructure side. So to start with, let me just put forward this slide, which is the safe harbor. So in this particular slide, we may show you the features of BIM 360. And since the BIM 360 is a cloud-based technology, the UI constantly gets changed. So there are chances you may see it a little different in a later date. And also we may show some of the tools which are third-party apps. So these third-party apps are something that are present with us right now, and I'm showcasing which adds values to the tools that we have together. So we don't take any responsibility on how these third-party apps generally work. So let's move on to our presentation deck. So the key area of BIM 360, as you all know, is the collaboration, and this is where we are focusing on. Now let me show you the first what's new with this BIM 360 as a glimpse, and then we'll take it further onto that. Now in BIM 360 design, we have added collaboration with BIM Civil 3D. And now with Civil 3D itself, you're going to access BIM 360 directly from your start menu. And when you log in, you see all the files that are there. You see the data shortcuts that are included onto that, and they are all aligned with your project in the same project folder. You can also invite members directly using their email ID, just like how our BIM 360 helps, and you can define the permission straight away in a very easy manner to include that. And whenever I'm working, you will see a lock sign for that, and it will show you who has locked that file so that it can include a better collaboration within the team. And all the files, including all the datas that are there, the data shortcuts that are included, are all inside that particular folder. So it manages these data very effectively, and it will have all the relative informations on one single folder itself. You can have multiple team added up their properties, and whenever they save, you will see different versions getting added up. And these versions can, of course, be compared and seen as you prefer. Like you can compare from the day one up to the latest, or select any specific versions to choose from, and you will see the difference listed down of what all things have been added and removed. And this as such will help you create any kind of issues that you have, you want, whether it's the design issues or site issues, and assign it to people to further, and you can track that issue whether it is resolved or not. So it's a very systematic way of communicating between design team and site, and that's what our BIM 360 platform all allows us to do. Now let's take how it has been possible. So if you are first with the BIM 360 webinar, I wanted to show a quick glimpse of how we have reached to this particular level. Now to see a basic concept like how we have been doing our project, it's mostly a software which is installed on a machine. We do our project on that, and that project generally goes out in a file format, and that goes out to other consultants, subcontractors, or to the site. And this is a one-way communications that goes in. And even if there is any information that has to come in from the other side, comes in a different file, then we have to reference it, and it loses the connectivity of people working on that particular project. So what we have tried here is a very simplified way. If we can put that data into a cloud platform, if we can make a common data environment where we can store this information and allow all our products, whether it is architectural like Revit, AutoCAD, or infrastructure work like InfraWork 360, your Civil 3D, Naviswork, if all of these products can communicate to BIM 360, then that cloud model can becomes an HTML ready. What I mean by that is now that model, without losing any property, can be accessed through any Internet Explorer available with us in different platform, whether it is Android, iOS, or Windows platform, and also can be accessed through any handheld devices using a simple app or just the Internet Explorer installed on that particular handheld device also. Now, what it also helped us to do is we were now able to mark up things and communicate informations back from the site to the product itself. So any issues that you see on the site and you want some clarification, instead of having a paper based or a phone based or an email based communication, you can have discussion right on the floor plan or the 3D model itself, and communicate it back to the design team using the BIM 360 platform. And that's the advantage that we see when we move this information onto BIM 360 platform. Now, if I quickly show you what how it has been developed over a period of time. So if you are an old Autodesk tool users, you would have seen we have come up with Autodesk Drive, which was in 2010 and 12, which it became very popular just because we were able to push files into a cloud platform, and we were able to access file in Internet Explorer and AutoCAD 360 application, which was in a handheld devices. And that is the opportunity that we see when we can push collaboration, like multiple team can access one single file and work simultaneously onto that and make it a central common data environment. And the project will evolve as multiple team members can work together on one single file from different location just by the access that has been provided. And that is when the BIM 360 team uh, got built. And this was the year 2015 and 16 when it was introduced, and it has gained popularity with the Revit users, where collaboration for Revit was a key, where all the architectural and service disciplines were added up. Now with BIM 360 team, there are a few things that we were able to further develop, like if we can have a document management altogether, which is BIM 360 doc, then we have team, glue, layout, and other services that are lined up for that for various activities and the requirement that we have on a project. Say for example, we want to do a coordination, like bring all the files which are there on cloud and run a clash detection on that. So we have the BIM 360 coordinate, which include glue, which earlier called as glue, which does a live clash with that. And then if you wanted to use hardwares like total stations with our model and take the coordinates to the site and project it correctly, accurately, and even bring that what's built back onto the model and see how accurately it has been done, that is where BIM 360 layout has been added up. Now even the BIM 360 layout is now supporting both iOS and Android at this particular stage when we are presenting this webinar. And then of course we have BIM 360 field, which allows us to have field management capabilities included onto a cloud platform. So your data, which has started from a design, can travel from coordination up to field management from one single source, that is a BIM 360 platform itself. And in the field, you can have all the checklists, daily logs, reportings generated out directly from there. And then you will see also there are certain BIM 360 ops which allows us to take us to operation and maintenance as additional services. So this is what we are seeing right now. Like the cloud that we started somewhere about a decade earlier is now shaping up into a very systematic service-based cloud service-based solutions, which includes not only just the data management but also coordination and execution on the field. And this is what helping us, and we have extended it not just to the architectural and services, but also for the infrastructure module as well. Now this is how a whole concept changes. So we have our data, which is our centralized location, which where we store all the information, which is of course BIM 360. And what we have done is, in this BIM 360 we have added a lot of capabilities, like you can run multiple analysis, different activities, what all things have happened on that particular file. Say for example, how many people have opened it and viewed it, how many of them have downloaded it in that particular drawing sheet or a specific file. How many issues have been raised, who raised these issues, how many are resolved, is it an approved drawing or a rejected drawing. All these informations are stored right in the BIM 360 platform itself. And of course it has all the permissions and other level of accesses that you can define with different identities and other things. It also helps us do run a lot of analysis on top of our informations that we capture, like whether it is a safety checklist, commissioning checklist, QA and QC checklist. You can run multiple analysis and see how the whole project is performing over a period of time. And all the BIM 360 is connected, I would say well connected with our product lineup, whether it is AutoCAD, Revit, InfraWorks, Civil 3D, Navisworks, you name it. So all the products can communicate directly to BIM 360 with a simple tool called desktop connectors, which get installed these days with all the application, any application that you install from our product lineup. And we have also added partner apps to enable it, because it's an HTML file format. It allows other web developers, web application developers, to bring in their solutions and connect it directly to BIM 360. Now, the platform used for this is Forge. Forge is a platform it's a web developing app, tool, where any web developer can use the use the codes available with Autodesk, which we share publicly, and use that to develop their apps that can add more values to what BIM 360 is. Many people are using that, and there are a lot of apps which are readily available. Say for a simple example is, if you want all the BIM 360 data that you have captured to be synced with your local SharePoint or another cloud like Box or OneDrive that your office is using, we can do that. So there are many apps which are currently available on our app stores, which you can directly use using that. So eventually you will see a whole ecosystem which has developed with one central file with lot of analysis and capabilities, and all our product lineups directly connected to that with multiple apps to help you do what is required for you on that particular project. Now, just to give you a glimpse of how the BIM 360 platform looks, it consists of multiple services, like I mentioned. So these services are listed onto those 9 context dot that available on the top left corner that you see here. So when you click onto that, it shows you multiple things like your project homes, your insight, your document management, project management, and so on. So these tools really helps us. These tools really helps us to use these services as per our requirement. Say I need just the document management. I opt for the document management services, which allows me certain things like creating my folder structures, reviewing my drawings, have markups, issues, and other measure tools, section tools, and so on. I can create transmittals, create issues, and track them over a period of time. So this is mostly when the design team and other are working on that particular project, they can use just the document management. Now, at a certain needs, you require collaboration where multiple team members needs to work on a file um, from different location. You need design collaboration. This is specific to the Revit cloud work sharing. So what allows us is, like, you can have the model and enable work sharing environment, and multiple team can access it using that. So this is the additional service that we have to offer. Then we have the model coordination. Now the model coordination have a specific task to do. That is, whatever folders we have on document management, whichever files we are developing, we can specifically select, say, a architectural structures or services like MEP or duct, and we can run a live clash onto that. We can specify them as a space and say, I wanted to define clashes between services and structure. So what the tool will do is it will always save these two files on one of the space, and whenever you click onto that or whenever you go into model coordination, it will show currently at that particular time how many clashes are there, and you can work on resolving that. And then we have the field management tool. This is something which is very useful for those who are onto the site, because it digitalizes all the checklist that you generally do. Well, sometimes it could be a paper base where we are just enabling tick marking and storing that paper PDF into our records. But this allows us to have a digital checklist, which can then be taken out as a report and have an analysis on all the checklists that is performed on the site from day one. It also allows us to capture site issues using cameras and pictures to and then assign it to a specific department or users who's responsible to resolve it. And then you can also track it, how much are currently open, how many of them are resolved, and so on. It also helps us to track the daily logs, what we are working. So how many companies, how many hours of work, and how many users, I would say a labor who has worked on site for a specific day or something. We can log that effectively. Then we have the project management tool where we have the RFI and submittals. So this is specifically onto these two uh, tools that we have included, that is RFI and submittals under project management services. And last but not the least is the Insight. Now, Insight helps us to generate a report of all the activities that we have done in document management, design collaboration, model coordination, field management, and project management services. So you can generate out your quality reports, safety reports. Project leads can have a direct dashboards of RFI, submittals, transmittals, and so on, and all the issues that has been worked. And it gives you a complete report of the project as and when on that particular time of the day. So there is no lag. As soon as the information is captured using any of the handheld devices, you see that information on the report. So this is what um, our whole BIM 360 services is about. Now, BIM 360 comes in two platforms. One is your desktop, and another one is the mobile application. So we support both Apple as well as Windows platform and Android on your handheld devices. And with BIM 360, you get unlimited storage, unlimited number of projects to be created. Now, a general description of the platform, what I mentioned, is a common data environment with project data supported by a Forge platform to customize any need. And on top, we have the entire layer of analytics and insights where we can derive all the reports out. And this data is then first used by the design to author, collaborate, and detail. The same data is shared with the pre-construction to check the constructability, cost, and scheduling. And any communications that pre-construction team does to the design, it all happens from the project data. So the entire team is always up to date, and they are never behind any previous versions. They are always working on the latest version. And then we have the field execution, which uses the same data to execute thing on site, and whatever they capture bring backs to the project data, which helps them to convert to have an as-built data as they are constructing it on the site. And eventually that whole data, the as-built model, can be then handed over to operations and maintenance uh, uh, for further maintenance of that particular building. So let's check the Civil 3D collaboration. Now, Civil 3D collaboration, if you are a Civil 3D user, you will see this is available with the 2020.2 update only, and you must have to have this particular update to see this feature in your Civil 3D. It's currently not available with just Civil 3D 2020 or Civil 3D 2019. So when you open a Civil 3D, you will have the start button, and this is where you are going to see a recent BIM 360 button over there. And what it allows you to see is when you click onto BIM 360, you will see all your um, projects that you have created onto that. And whenever you are seeing those projects on a specific folder, you will always see a lock sign if somebody has opened that particular file or somebody is working on that file. And this allows us to not change anything, and it doesn't allow us to modify if somebody has locked that particular thing. And whenever you open, it caches a file into your C/drive, which allows you, which kinds of makes it much faster. So you are kind of working in an offline mode, but whenever you say synchronize or update, it pushes that update back into BIM 360. Now, your desktop connector works side by side on the background. So any information that you're opening, you're pushing it back, synchronizing, it shows you the status right over there. And when you see the same on BIM 360 platform, you're going to see that particular civil file over there, and a small lock button appears over there showing somebody has working on that, and it's currently being locked by that users. And it all includes your working folders for data shortcuts. So all the files relative informations of Civil 3D is stored right over there in BIM 360. When you check reference status, what it does is it creates a folder structures and include all the data shortcut folders created automatically on BIM 360, like you can see on the screenshot. So you have the main file, you have the external references, DGN, DWF, DWG, image files, all are included into a separate folders, and they are created automatically. You will also see all the reference included up over here. So in case if you have a local file, it asks you to load that particular file, and you can load that back from BIM 360, and it will show you a save path as dot dot slash external reference and so on that. So it kind of concludes that now it is BIM 360 loaded information. So you can see that XREF available in local as well as XREF available in the BIM 360 platform. So relative data folders is replicated with local drive. So you have your folder created, and all the data are stored in BIM 360, and that you can see it under the detail property under external reference as well. So when you move your reference from one locations to another, and this is where pathing automatically updates in BIM 360. So if you have a reference file from a BIM 360 reference into your main file, and in case if you move that reference from one folder to another in BIM 360, the path updates automatically. You don't have to re-update that particular thing. And whenever you save these files, it automatically updates the versions of that. And of course, it will help you compare all the versions. You just click onto the version button, and it helps you convert, and will show you in multiple color codes what is version 1 and version 2 planning designed for that. So this is what BIM 360 looks like. Let's come back into our BIM 360 platform and see how it looks like. So let me open up and show you how our BIM 360 works. So you can use any of the BIM 360 platform to log into that. So generally I use is docs.b360.autodesk.com. This is where it takes me to the document management. Now, just those who are new onto this, let me just show how this whole thing is set up, because it's very easy to set this up. And what you see is the 9 dots, which gives me all the services that are included in that. So to have a project set up, all I need is this account administration access, and this account administration access allows me to create project. So I need to use my generic login, which I have for Autodesk, which I have registered for Autodesk, which I use for Revit and AutoCAD or Civil 3D that I'm using. And it takes me to the account administration page. And this page is where I'll see all the projects that are created. I can create unlimited projects from here. Now, here are these members and companies that you see, where you can add companies by clicking onto that. It's fairly very simple. It asks you company names, address, photos, logos, you can add the company, and members are those users of that particular company with whom you're going to work on this particular project. You can either invite people one by one or use a spreadsheet to include. You can also include executives who can have only access to dashboard but not the project, or you can also invite another account admin to have a full access. Now, creating a project is fairly simple. Just click on to add, create a new, let me just say LNT site webinar, and what type of project. So these are the stars that we all need to fill in. And once I have done that, so I'll just save, and this will create a project. And once I create a project, it asks me what type of services I wanted to enable. So document, project, management, design. So either I can have it started with nothing, I can later on add in, or I can just simply say I want to have a document management included onto that. So I'll just simply invite using my email ID. And once I done that, it's now a document management enable for that. So let's go into that particular project. So which I just created, which is LNT site webinar. When I click onto that, it takes me, so you can see I have my user up over here and what type of permission I have. By default, I have marked myself as administrator, so I have full access to the document management. And if I want to add some more members or some more services, this is where I'll go. And here I can, it will automatically update when I add members which companies they belong for, and this is the member. Now, if I have to access this document management, now you can see in this particular project, I just have a document management. And whenever I create any site, this is the mail which I get. So you have been added onto BIM 360. You get the notification whenever you are added onto that. Now, if I wanted to see the document management for this particular project, I just click onto this and it takes me to the document management page, and where I can have all my project and file folder structures set up. Now, before I go into this doc, let me just show you onto the account administration page, what happens when you keep adding multiple members to have a track of how many projects you are working, how many users are using what type of services. These are all included in the analysis tab of our BIM 360. So when you click onto this analysis tab, so let's click on the analytics. So this will give me a complete list of my information, how many time I have for the renewal, how many active members are currently working, member by service, like how many are using document management, project management, and so on. And then what type of projects are currently running, and project wise, how many users are accessing that information. So how many activated projects, how many partner companies, and out of that partner companies, how many members are active. I get all the information right away over here. Now, in this plan folders, you can see plan and project. Now, this is where you can add subfolders by clicking onto that. Now, this is fairly very simple. Just it's very easy to use. Not like any high-end software or something like where you really have to go through some training. So whenever you click onto any folder structure and you want to create a subfolder, just click onto that, and a subfolder for any specific folder, just click onto that three menu and it will create. Now, each folder structures have a permission level, so you can grant different permission levels to users by just clicking onto this add button. And say if I wanted to invite myself with the other email ID, so invite. Now I have these many permissions to grant. I can either give view only access. That means he can just view the file and not download or do anything with that particular file. View and download, that means he can view the file and download that particular file. I can give upload only, that means he can upload his content, but he will not be able to, you can see here, he will not be able to see any folder or content within that particular folder. Then we have view, upload, download, view, download, upload, and edit, and full control. So these are the different permission levels that has been granted. So we can include them, and whenever we grant access to the parent folder, the all the subfolders that we have will have similar access for that. So this is how we can set up a, a project with different access level. Now let's see what is the benefit that we get with this BIM 360 doc environment. So here you can see I have a project which is being created up over here. Now these folders can have multiple files included onto that. So one thing that we have included is support for the infra work and other files. So let's see if you wanted to have a infra work model added onto that, a civil 3D model added onto that. So what you have to do is whenever you are on civil 3D, say you are working on a new project or something, or you wanted to open a new project or something, uh, all you need to do is the regular save as. When you see save as a drawing, and instead of saving the file onto a local drive or something like that, you can specify BIM 360. If this icon is not there, probably you may need to install this desktop connector. Now what this desktop connector does is, when you go into my computer, you will see these two tabs added. Now you see this BIM 360 team, because I have some projects which are from 2016 and 17, I believe, 18, I believe. So I still have that BIM 360 team. If you are with 2019 and above, you probably may going to see only BIM 360 itself. So what it generally does is, when I'm in BIM 360, you can see in my administration under project. So these are the projects that I have created, and uh, these are my projects. Now, there could be chances I would have been invited to work on somebody else's project. So, like you can see, I have included multiple users. So, those projects where I have been included, you can see this is my particular site, and I have so many projects which are running right now. If I wanted to see where I have been included, I can just click onto that. So you can see here I have been invited by Devansh, I have been invited by Preeti, and so on. So these many accounts I have been asked to work on that. So if I wanted to go into that particular project, I can click onto that and it will show me the project where I have access, and then I can access their file itself. So I wanted to see my projects, so I'll just go into my site and I'll see all my projects that are there on that. So similarly, when I am accessing my BIM 360, when I click onto that, you will see all the sites that I have access with, and over here is my particular site over here. Now when I click onto that, you can see all the projects that are listed in my BIM 360 are here listed in my uh, Autodesk desktop connector itself. So I can access them directly from here. And the best part is, this Autodesk desktop can work on an offline mode also. So in case if you have a laptop and you are going to travel to the site, but you wanted to retain all your file, just make it work offline mode. It will synchronize, keep a cache, and you can use the file of that particular date and time span during your offline mode. And once you come back, switch off this offline mode and it will update all your files as well. So let's see how it works on a civil 3D platform. So either you select onto this BIM 360, it shows you all your projects, or you can go into my computer and click onto BIM 360. It takes you over there and you go into your project where you wanted to save this. Say for example, I just created L&T site webinar, and say I wanted to save this particular file under project. um, I have project 2, and I'll save this file over there. So when I go on my L&T webinar site 2, this is where this file will get added up. Now let us see if it has synchronized. So you may see it may take a bit of a time, but here is what it shows you, the publish log. So when I refresh this, probably soon you will see files being added up. So it will start extracting and it will push this file on that. So probably it takes about a minute or two to reflect it back, and then it will be available on your project data as well. So this is one method of adding files onto BIM 360. The other one is you can just simply upload the file directly using your uh, C drive. So you just click onto that, locate the file, and this will get added up. And this is what you can use to add different files. With InfraWork 360, you have an option to save your model directly in BIM 360 by giving the access. Now, these are your InfraWork 360 models. So what you will see, like this can now load a complete infrastructure model in my laptop. So or for that matter iPad, or even my simple Android mobile phone, I can see a InfraWork model straight away in my handheld devices without losing any properties. So you can see it does take a bit of a time because there are a lot of data in that particular thing. It has the road information, terrain informations, as well as other data that has been added up. And once it start loading, you can see you get a complete information of that particular data. So let us see if it comes in. So it takes a bit of a time to load, but it kind of loads you directly. So when you are selecting any of this road, you can see, you can still see the properties of that particular model coming from the InfraWork. So it really makes us, it doesn't lose any information, but it enables you to view it directly in a handheld device or an Internet Explorer. So let us make this one load. So you can see a process chart going down, which kind of shows you how much file is loaded. So sometimes, depending on the complexity of the file, it may take about 3 to 5 minutes, but most of the time I've seen it loads up. So this is a very large, about a 3 or 4 kilometer stretch of land. So once you load that, it shows all the information that are included up on this particular site. So let it load. Okay, meanwhile it loads, we'll come back to that. So let me open up that project again. All right. So here we are back into this particular project, and say we have different files loaded up. So there are a lot of capabilities that BIM 360 allows us to do. Say we generally get a set of documents from the design team and we review them. We generally use a printout or sometimes a digital copy on the site. Now this BIM 360 allows us to connect that into one single environment uh, using this format. So here you can see I do receive multiple files of any projects on my desk for the site, and I can categorize them with different folder structures which I need based on my requirement. Now let's see the benefit that it gives us once we have a digital copy. Now whatever I'm showing you, it is possible both with the Internet Explorer which I'm showing, and also with your with your handheld devices. Now say you open up this particular drawing. Now in this particular drawing you will have multiple things like, say, sections, elevations, detail, right? Now say for example you wanted to, no, not in this particular file. So let me just open up a model with some, say for example section lines are there or something like that. So generally we keep, say I'll open this particular model, right? So you can see there are a lot of details of a specific building or a specific infrastructure that we are doing. Now when we review these drawings, there are a lot of things that we generally needs to check. One is like kind of measuring certain informations, right? Now you can see you can measure it directly using your BIM 360. Or say for example, you see a section right over there and you wanted to see and go back into this section. You can see it highlights and it takes you right onto that particular section itself. So you can review drawings more effectively. You can see there is another section and I wanted to go back and see this particular section. I'll see that, and I can go and return back to the one that I started, or intermediate also. So I see the list right over there, and it helps me review this model. It not only just do that, but it also gives me access to view the complete model. So whether it is a structural model that I have received, or whether it's the electrical models that I have received. So if I have a station models or something that is being built along with the corridor, and I wanted to review the structural element of that, I have the structural models that I can very well review. And when I click onto that, I have this property tab, and you can see this property list coming directly from the model. So I don't lose any information onto that, but I really get them access whenever I need. Now, while reviewing these, and if you feel there are any kind of issues that are there, you can always create a markup. Now, there are multiple ways we can create a markup. We have added something called a cloud callout. Now, this is very handy because as soon as you create a cloud, it gives you this arrow key, which you can see detail required, and you can save this markup, and this markups get saved in that particular view. So you can do markup on a 2D drawing, or you can do it on a 3D model as well. So by default it is always private. You can publish it so the rest of the team understand and view that. You can also cut sections. So let's come out, exit markup view, and let's say you have a section. So you can see I can cut a section of this particular model, review them in any way format, or I can also have box sections like I generally prefer in many of my design firms. So I can have a box sections to review a specific model. So there are various ways I can review this models and access it. So there are markups, there are options to review it directly. Now, if in case I'm reviewing specific details on that particular drawing, and I see this particular thing is not very clear, or there is an issue with this particular thing, I can just simply create an issue by just clicking onto that and say, okay, I am not very sure if this is correct. And I can say this is my design issues that is there, or I can have a coordination issues, define that, give it a title, and I can assign it either to a company or to a user. So either I can define the company who's responsible to do the structural, or I can define it, say, for specifically to the user, and give him what we say is a due date. So that I want this by 28th. I can give different location information that I fed in, so that I really have a detailed idea of this, and I create this issue. Now, this issue is not just a markup, but it is something that is being tracked. So what happens is all the issues are always tracked under the issue tab. So here you can see all the issues that I created are tracked, and those who are overdue are marked in red. And you can create a just a sample issue, like if it is not related with a specific title, but remaining issues that you'll see are all linked with this particular drawing sheet. So in case if you wanted to see, okay, room size needs to be reviewed, what type of issue was there, I just click onto that and I see that particular issue and see whom it was assigned to, when it was assigned to, and what is the status at this particular time for this particular issue. So because these issues are all into a common data environment, there are lots you can do. Say for example, you have a project file which is just lying there, right? So excuse me. So now say for example, you have a model with you and you get different drawing files for that. So in this drawing files, you specifically see a portion of the view, and you really need to get an idea of this particular space which is there. We also have something called a 2D location. What it does is you can place your marker where you wanted to review this model, and what it gives you is it takes you right over onto that particular place, and yeah, and shows you the 3D model. So it is just loading in. So yeah, you can see here. So it takes me right away onto that area where I have placed that marker, and I can actually review this whole model up over there. Now, if I face any issues, as I said, I can create these issues, right? Now these issues can then also, let me just close my Outlook. So in this area, you can also see these issues. I can also communicate back with my Navisworks. So you all have seen a new update which has recently come in. That is uh, what we call it as issues, Naviswork BIM 360 issue. If you install that particular app, which is a free app available on our web page, all the issues that you create on your BIM 360 will reflect back into your model. So let's review that. So I'll go into my folder, right? So I have kept some Naviswork file. So these are my review files, which are a well coordinated file. So now if I see this particular model, I have certain issues that has been created. So there are different discussions that happened, and while working, we have identified different issues, and these are all the issues that we have created up. So now, say I have another issue, and I don't want this wall to be seen. So what I'll do is I'll create an issue, and I say this wall is not needed, and then I assign it to myself so that I can show you in my Navisworks. So I assign it, give it a date till November 22. I define the locations, any root cause that I want, and any description or any other additional properties. I just create this for time being. So now in my BIM 360, what I'll do, I'll use the same, oops. So I'll go, let me just see, it shows a little bit connection with the internet, but that's okay. I think I have connectivity. So if I open that particular file from BIM 360 and that particular folder, say this is my file, I'll open this. You can see it opens, and I have a refresh button to refresh all my issues, and this is where it will show me. So now you can see the one that I created, this wall is not needed, is available on my Naviswork platform. So when I click onto that, it takes me right over onto that and shows me who created it, when it was created, and I can say this is answered. Like say I click here and say activity, okay, approved. I can add somebody, say for example, a colleague of mine, please review, and I'll send, and I'll say this is answered, approved, and done. Now what happens is all I need is just a refresh here, or probably if I wait for a couple of seconds, it will automatically update. But just to show you here, like if I refresh that, I'll have a better communications, and I have a synchronized issues between my model and my BIM 360 straight away. So you can see as soon as I refresh, this wall is not needed. It's been answered, and you will see when you click onto that, you'll see all the activities and whom I have added. So this keeps everybody on loop. So Preeti here will get a notification, and once she logs in, she will see a note, and she can review this and give her answers as well. So now it is, you can see it is listing my BIM 360 model with Naviswork, and I can share and work with different issues with my design team on office and my team on site using their iPad or a simple Android excuse me, Android mobile. Now these are couple of things. Now let us see, like I have some models, right? Now I have some models which are stored in, say, architectural MEP structure, and I need to run a clash between them. And this is where I'll have my project model coordination enabled for that. Now what this will do is it will allow me to create spaces like you see here. I can create spaces between structure and MEP, MEP and architecture, and so on. So when I select, say for example, I want the MEP and structure clashes, it will list down all the files that I have selected for them, and over here it will show me a chart of cross files, how many clashes are there, right? And then if I click onto that, it shows me those clashes directly between these two files. So this is a live clash that it is doing between those two files, which are included onto that. And this is something that Naviswork also does. So if you want to compare these two models, what is the benefit of this is it allows us to create issues out of these uh, clashes. So now say for example, like if I have a model and I'm running these clashes, so what you will see, it will always group clashes together. So it will group these clashes together. So that means if somebody repairs that, or if that duct is being reworked, this is going to resolve three clashes. Now what I can do is I can click onto that particular issue only, and I can create, sorry, clash only, and I can create an issue, assign it to the person, set a due date, and then create that. And this is something that I'll review it in my Naviswork also, and I can continue and see how many issues of clash are there and how many have been resolved and so on. So here, when I click onto this assign, you can see all the issues that I have created, how many have been resolved, how many are pending, and so on. So it really helps me uh, capture everything from site, communicate it back into the design team, and have a proper record of all the communications that are happening throughout, and all the discussions that are happening within the project site itself. So let's check a last thing, that is our field management. That is again will help us to communicate this to the site. Now field management has a couple of things. One is the template, checklist, issue, and daily logs. Now, template is something that we create for checklist, and you can create your or transfer your company checklist into a digital format by just creating using a new template. You give a title and so on, right? Now, what this template generally helps us is, like if we are creating a specific template, we can have, sorry, I'll just show you one of these. You can create multiple sections here. Now what happens is, like when you click onto these sections, these can be assigned to a specific members and specific users. So if I click onto that, I have section 1. Now say I add another item, some few items I'll add. So I have two sections. I'll just save this, right? So when I go and create a checklist from here, you can see I have two sections which are available for me, right? Now this is something which really helps me, like if I have a form and accessories which I need to assign it to Daniel, and the section 2 I need to assign it to myself. So what it helps me is, when I set this checklist, one single checklist, I have two assignees, so I can assign work for the same checklist to multiple people, and eventually on the main checklist I can give who should be the owner to cross check, and which location it should belong, and what should be the due date to finish this checklist. I can also enable require signature, and this will allow you to sign it on an iPad and add your signature. And for adding a signature, it is always must to finish these two and mark it as done. So unfortunately, before this session, I tried my best to connect my iPad so that I can show you live. But this setup that we have today, probably I'm not able to connect my iPad to show you live from how this checklist will perform on a handheld devices. But preferably, if you want to see that live, what I suggest is you let us know. You just contact us back, or let us help you connect back with you, and we can demonstrate this into detail uh, on a separate sessions to your team as well. And of course, site has a separate issues, and the plus point about this site is you can add and capture images when you are using handheld devices, and all these things get listed together. So it will all get listed under this projects that you're working, so you can have a complete reporting out from here. So project home will and insight will have a generic dashboard that you can really customize, and it will show you all the information of the project at any given time. So let's go into the project home and show some dashboard. So here you can see weather informations, project address, and so on. So it shows you project checklist, how many are overdues. This is the format that I have. You can also add some graphs onto that and so on. So you can also have the insight with different way of high risk quality issues, water risk issues, and so on. And it will help you review these informations in a chart format. And this is something that executive access will have while reviewing that particular project. So this is what our BIM 360 package is about. Now, before I close, there is something that I cannot show you live, but probably I wanted to show you through this. That is the informative outcome, like how we can connect a source that is a total station with any of, like, whether Civil 3D or even a 3D AutoCAD if you're using, or Revit to connect with. Now, what it does is when you have a 3D model, we can export any coordinates which are there, whether it's like the openings, hanger points, uh, certain jointry points. You can extract the XYZ coordinate of that into a simple CSV file, take it into an SD card, put it on your total station, and project it on the site for better accuracy. Excuse me. So here you can see I have a wall center lines which are taken down. So it automatically places the point over there on the edge to use that. Now these points, what it has is, like, you can just simply export this points which are, I'm sorry, which are generated by Revit into a total station. All you have to do is just simply click onto the export point layout. So you can see here, this is an export point. You can specify the XYZ, YXZ coordinate which you're looking, and specifically say which points, whether it is hanger points, wall cutouts, that you want to do, what is the format. And once you do that, it simply sends out a CSV file that you see here, and I can see XYZ coordination and description. And this is something that I can take on a SD card and put it onto total stations for a projection. Now, when I'm using a BIM 360 layout, this is what happens. Now, I put these points onto my BIM 360 coordinate. I get these points which are defined in my Revit, Civil 3D, or AutoCAD, and those points I can assign to specific members who are responsible. Now, say for example, I specify this to a user. When he logs into, when he comes to the site, or when he reviews his email, he'll get a notification that points are assigned to him. He can review those points and use our iPad device or an Android for, today we have added Android app as well, to connect with the total stations directly. So you don't need the additional prism or something. So it connects directly with your it acts as a data center, data point for your total station. So you can see your entire model and points directly on your iPad, and it will work as a data collector in your total station. And we have multiple ways: manual, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth connectivity with different total stations. And this is something that our PCL construction has done it and shown as a success story of using a BIM 360 layout. And once, say, for example, the construction is done, you can also import those points back into the model and review it, how accurately it has been constructed. Now, this is something that I'm showing you on a Revit file, but you can do it on a linear construction, linear areas, say road, rail, or large infrastructure. And it will kind of shows you how accurately that has been built. So in this particular example, you can see that particular point is little bit shifted from side than what it has been designed. So this is what we have used the total station TopCon for this particular thing, and that's what our BIM 360 layout. So our BIM 360 model now has the BIM 360 layout for Android as well. So with this, I believe I have come to the end of this presentation. So if you have any questions, I would suggest if you can put it across on chat, I'll be more than happy to answer it. So in case if there is no further questions, I thank you all for joining in. You all have a good day. Thank you.